Hi, friends. Welcome to Quantum Spirituality. I am your guide, Jane Ritz, as we consciously create a life in love where the physical and spiritual meet. And I would love for you to subscribe to the channel. Just click the button down below. Share this with your friends. Let's get this type of energy put out into the digital world. So, I wanted to share a concept that I would like to expand on. And it's about how the physical and spiritual can meet. So I was just listening to someone share about the Bodhisattva and the Bodhisattva that says, I will not attain Nirvana until everyone can attain Nirvana. And I understand that and I love that. And it's got such beauty to it. It's in the same vein as we are all one. We're all a reflection of each other. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all a fractal of the oneness here as an individuated form called you by name. And, it's like if one is suffering, we're all suffering. So I can deeply understand why this would be a thing. You know, how can I live in nirvana in complete bliss? How can I live in that when there are others suffering? Like it seems remiss of a humane heart, right? And so I was sitting with this and I was like, yeah, but I dated a guy one time. I called him the yeah butter. Everything that I would say that was remotely esoteric or around the quantum or energy, he would be like, yeah, but, and I would be like, bro, like, can you just not? So I'm gonna yeah, but. And the yeah, but to this concept is it's a yes. It's not a yes, but it's more of a yes and. So it's yes because if people are suffering, then that means that a version of me is suffering. So I want to bring forth peace and harmony so that all versions of me, other humans in this game, can experience peace also. So that's what got me thinking. So the Bodhisattva was talking about entering the state of nirvana. And so I was seeing nirvana as like a temple, like it's a state of being, it's a state of mind, it's a state of consciousness, it's a certain energetic vibration and frequency of consciousness that we can attain and harmonize with and embody. But for the story, imagine that nirvana is a temple. It's a glorious, beautiful, ornate, divine, holy, safe, secure sound temple. And very heavenly, if you will. And I can only enter this nirvana temple if I am worthy enough. Worthy isn't if I'm good enough. No, worthy is, am I being that? Am I being nirvanic in my nature? Am I being so divine, so pure, so aligned, so in love, so in compassion, so in presence with the I am consciousness that I am and that I am is, that I match the frequency of the temple? So then I would be finger quotes worthy and I can get in and I'm like, there we go. I'm in nirvana. I'm in nirvana. I think that sounds like a dope gift. I think it sounds like a really fantastic experience. I want to go there. I want to hang out in Nirvana. I want to hang out with my Nirvana friends. And I also wouldn't feel good doing that all the time if my brothers and sisters are on the streets without shelter, without food, without water, without safety, without peace, without joy. It doesn't feel good, right? It doesn't feel in alignment. And then I think about the martyr that says, I'll just keep suffering too then. So that would be me saying, I won't ever try to get into nirvana. I'm not going to go. I can't. Instead, I'm going to suffer too. I'm going to turn away shelter. I'm going to turn away food. I'm going to turn away support so that I can suffer just like everyone else. And I think that those two are very extreme. The extreme of I'm going to be the martyr and I'm going to choose to suffer. And then the other extreme is I'm not going to have any suffering. I'm going to live in the state of nirvana and and be fine. I want to be golden pony boy. So so then we have the super physical, super 3D, and then we got the super spiritual, the super 5D. And these are so polarized opposites that it's still not a balance for, I believe, where we are creating life to be created from, which, from my perspective, to create from a 0 point of balance, which is the heart, then we take both of these worlds and we bridge them in a way that we can be the embodiment of the divine. We already are. But to know that and to be that and to hold the frequency and consciousness of that creates a vastly different life. And that is the consciously created life and love, where the physical and spiritual will meet. It's the quantum spirituality, which is this. So, so I got to really thinking about this and I've been contemplating it. I'm like, okay, so how would I bridge that gap? When I want to be in nirvana, but also don't because then I want to be like, yo, people are hurting. And also don't want to be hurting because let's be honest, been there, done that. Been there, done that. I don't want to keep doing that. But I also don't want to leave anyone behind. But I'm also not here to save them because we're here to save ourselves. Oh dear, what do I do? So this is what I saw. And tell me what you think. Leave a comment. Are you like, tell me, like, yes, that resonates. Or like, nah, dog, this is what I would do. Because there's no right and no wrong. This is my perspective. Take it with a grain of salt. So I thought, what would feel good is if I did go to that Nirvana temple, right? So I get there and I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. I'm like so taken care of. I am living in the lap of luxury. I am so prosperous in every high frequency consciousness in me, as me, around me, through me. I am living light in this temple of nirvana. I am bliss. So I go and I get a fill up. I get a charge. I get integrated so much that when I leave the state of nirvana, this temple of nirvana, then where I go, I hold that frequency of nirvana within me. And as the person, the being that's holding the consciousness of nirvana, of bliss, I'll say, then when I do go into lower density consciousness experiences, suffering, then I can be of more support. Not only that, I impart the change through my essence, my frequency. The words that I speak heal. The way I see things as this like knowing of the I am as the observer, I heal. I change the world outside of me because I am looking through the eyes of love, of source, of nirvana. Using the observer effect alone, that is a monumental change in humanity for real. So I've gotten to nirvana, I'm there, I'm it, I left, be back. And I go into the world to the land of suffering. And the way I look at it, as opposed to looking at it like, oh, that's awful, they need to be different, I need to save them, but looking at that through a lens of extreme compassion, offering extreme grace, and being the embodiment of radical acceptance and unconditional love changes it. It just does naturally. It's like you water a plant. It just naturally changes. You give a plant sunshine, it just naturally changes. It's these source codes that feed the plant that change the direction of the growth of the plant. Same with the humanity that we go to. So then I was thinking, okay, so that would be a great way to bring the state of nirvana to the rest of the world so that you don't so then people see it, they sense it, they feel it. It becomes attainable because they know it's real. They felt it. They felt it. So then they can have a deeper awareness that they too can reach this state of nirvana, this temple of divinity, this heaven, whatever you want to call it. Nirvana, we'll say, the temple of nirvana. And then they are inspired to move on their unique path to get them to that temple of nirvana. That's why we would hold, that's why I would choose to hold radical acceptance, because if I tell them the only way to get there is through yoga and chanting, or the only way to get there is through doing your rosary 5,000 times, then I am not radically accepting their natural higher self calling to walk them on their path to this temple of nirvana. So, what gets to marry with this action, because here's the thing, when we merge the physical and spiritual, there is an action, there is a movement to that. And so the action takes courage. It does. It takes an extremely courageous heart. It takes a very open mind, and it takes a will of the divine within so that my will and thy will can be done together as one. The courageous steps that must be taken are twofold. Fold one is you went to the Nirvana temple. It takes courage to leave because you might risk not being able to get back in. You may lose the key. What if I can't get that high again? What if I can't find that deep state of peace again? What if when I go and I see the suffering that I get sucked into the suffering and I can't find my way out? It's a courage and will that is held and cradled in the arms of trust and faith that we can not only get to and be in the temple of nirvana, but we can also leave it, and that we will get back. We can always come back. It may take a refocus, it may take a realignment. We might get sucked back in. Who knows? But it takes trust and faith. And that's a big courage. And it takes a lot of courage for anyone who's been in suffering, who, if you're watching this, you probably have had at least one experience in your life where you, in fact, were suffering. Probably more than that. And you probably know everyone around you who has experienced suffering on some level. Even the Buddha did, even though he was raised with a silver spoon in his mouth and didn't have to do anything. His suffering was non duality. It wasn't until he experienced the duality of the pain and suffering that he realized that that was his pain, was that he didn't experience the fullness of life. And that's why he left for 12 years to go find himself and be like, oh my God, this is why I'm here. Anyway, so it takes courage for if you are in the space of suffering. It takes courage to trust. It takes courage to feel worthy. Because most of the times, for me, when I was at my deepest layers and levels and pits of suffering, it's because I believed more than anything else that I deserved to be suffering and that I was not worthy of anything other than that. I deserved the pain. I deserved the lack. I deserved the hardship. I deserved the loneliness. I deserved the hangovers. I deserved the abuse from others and from myself. I had that as my belief. So for me to even change those beliefs took courage. It took a lot of courage for me to say, Jane, you don't, not only do you not deserve to hurt, that was a whole one reality to reconcile. And then add on top of that, and I am worthy of love because I am that. That had to come together. And then the action took hold for me to start moving on my path through energy work, psychology, college, personal development, like you name it, prayer, meditation, dance, so many things, really giving me the time, space, and grace to go inward because I had the answers, but I had used other paths to get there. Anyway, but it took that courage for me to continue moving so that I could feel better and better and better and better until one day I was at the door of Nirvana. And I had to know and believe and be that. And the door just opened. I didn't have to like knock and be like, excuse me, is this Nirvana's temple? Can I come in? No, it was like I just woke up and I was there. So as we move through this life that we're creating, where it's not just about the physical, it's not. And it's not just about the spiritual. If we leave one of those behind, we are leaving behind the essence of this experience, of the game, of the reason I believe that we came to be a human here on earth now. It's bringing these worlds together in harmony at the heart. So wherever you are, if you're in the state of nirvana, or if you're like, I'm getting there and I don't want to leave it, I'm done with that, I'm done with the pain. Or if you're in the suffering and you're like, I'm never going to get out of it. My rock bottom is just this quicksand that is sucking me down day by day by day. Wherever you are, maybe you're right in the middle and you're like, I don't know anything. Wherever you are is so completely perfect. Whether you're in the darkest of nights or the lightest of days, or in the middle where it's nothing but grays or rainbows, that wherever you are right now is so completely perfect. My invitation, however, is to trust and have faith that you got you and that something bigger than you has got you. You can call that whatever you want. You call the whatever's bigger than you whatever you want. Allah, Buddha, Jesus, Mary, God, Goddess, Creator, Source, the void, the light, Earth, the universe. I could keep going, but I can't right now. Like there are a billion names for the nameless creator, for the nameless wonder. But trust that there is something that is bigger than you, that wants you to feel the love that you are, that wants you to feel the deliciousness of life, that wants you to experience ecstasy and bliss and euphoria, that wants you to feel sadness and sorrow and pain. Because that knows that if you can feel the depths of the pain and the suffering and the sorrow, then it knows that you can hold the goodness in the temple of nirvana. But we are not born in the temple of nirvana. We're not. Because we come from a human. And the humans that we come from typically aren't living in the temple of nirvana because they're living here on earth. And not many people are living in that bodhisattvic state. Because the bodhisattva even said, I don't want to live in nirvana. I'm going to turn my back on that. So then to me, I say, what is the harm in going back and forth? Instead of me sitting in the suffering and getting all dirty and gross, and then taking that and being like, I'm going to go into the doors of Nirvana, won't happen. But what can happen easily is I can go into this temple of Nirvana and I can ascend my frequency. I can hold more light. I can emanate the radiance of the divinity of the I am. And then I can take that as me and go into this reality that we call life. And then I'm spewing like little pew, 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 pews of light wherever I go. And eventually I do get weighed down because I feel, I do. I love that I feel sadness when I see someone hurting. I feel anger when the injustices of the world are just thrown in our faces. I feel sorrow when I see brothers killing brothers. So I accept it. I hold the radical acceptance and unconditional love throughout that. Okay. So I'm going to feel accepting. I accept that brothers are killing brothers. I accept that people are suffering. I accept that that person's really hurting. I don't like it. Trust, I don't like it. But I can accept it and I can love that they are willing to go through their darkness and be witnessed by me in that moment. As that, again, I go to the quantum field, I become a conscious observer. So eventually I might get weighed down, okay? And eventually it could be years, it could be hours, it could be days, whatever, depending on me, where I am in my life. And so then I come back to my practice, right? My time at the altar, my path. I come back to my tools. I resource myself. I go to dancing, I get a massage, I take a nap, I drink more water, I remove myself, I turn off the screen, I turn off the media, I go into nature, I get in a waterfall. You name it. I pray, I meditate, I sing, I dance, I listen. And then I start feeling better and better because what I do is I'm reflecting on my experiences. I'm taking the density that I got here, right? And I'm cleaning it and I'm clearing it off. And then next thing you know, I'm at the door of the temple of Nirvana again. And I can stay there as long as I want. I choose to not stay there. I want to go back and forth and ping pong because that's what creates the bridge of creation. That creates the new earth, the heaven on earth. It's already here, it's within us. But in my opinion, we must be willing, we must be courageous to feel the ich and to feel the bliss and to be able to ping pong with choice back and forth so much that we can do it from the 0 point all the time. So that I don't say I have to be over here to be good, feel good. And I'm gonna like I don't have to. I can feel good wherever I am. I can feel good on my way to nirvana. I can feel good in that state. I can feel good on my way out of nirvana and into the density and into the depths of pain and suffering. I can still be in my 0 point. The 0 point is the heart. So I love that the Bodhisattva said that he would not go to nirvana until everyone goes. But in my opinion, if nobody's going, who's going to hold the door? Who's going to show where it is? It's us. We have to be willing to feel that good and to connect so much with the divinity that we can be the embodiment of it so that others can see, sense, feel, hear, witness that it's possible. And not only is it possible, but they are that. I've always been that. When I was strung out, when I was high, when I was hooking up with a bunch of random people at the end of a really drunken night at a bar, whatever, I was still divinity. I just didn't know it. And so I wasn't conscious and aware of it. So then the program that was running was the program of only pain and only suffering and only a traumatized, wounded ego and a hurt inner child. That's the only thing, those were the only programs that were running. The divine program was like I'm always available. You just gotta like click in and you get the program. So my chair squeaks. You're welcome for that one. So my prayer then is that humans remember that we are the divine at all stages, that nirvana is really just a few choices away from being recognized, and that we are worthy of experiencing nirvana if we are courageous enough to leave it again and again. And what a delicious feeling it is to continue to be welcomed back into the arms of the divine. It's like when your lover leaves and comes back at the end of the day, or you come home and your puppy is so excited to see you. You're always welcomed back to these natural states of your birthright. And it takes courage to get there, and it takes courage to bounce out of there and have a lot of trust and faith that it's always within. So, my prayer is that we continue to remember these states, these ways of being, these feelings, these emotions, and that ultimately that we remember that it's our heart, that our heart is the 0 point of conscious creation. And so it is. And so it is. So, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this transmission. Thank you for tuning in to Quantum Spirituality. Again, I'm Jane Ritz. Please share this. Share this with people, subscribe, and I'll see you on the other side, wherever and whenever that is. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and remember how loved you are. Thanks. See you later. Bye.